Let's start in the Middle East, where Iran has signaled it may deploy mines to disrupt the Strait of Hormuz. That's according to U.S. officials who spoke to CBS News under the condition of anonymity. Anonymity, this is what he's trying to say. But the U.S. is vowing to hit Iran 20 times harder if it does anything to stop the flow of oil within the strait. The Pentagon says it has already eliminated 16 mine layers near the strait. Meantime, a UK maritime agency says 3 of its cargo ships were hit by suspected projectiles near Iran this morning. One of those ships was in the strait. 20% of the global oil supply passes through the waterway. A blockade could cause an immediate spike in the already rising global gas and oil prices. Let's bring in CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams, who's in northern Iraq. Holly, so what can you tell us about these overnight strikes in the region?
Hey there, Vlad and Adriana. I think the headline is that there is no end in sight to this war. Israel and the US continue to exchange fire with Iran. Officials in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates say that 2 Iranian drones hit near Dubai airport, injuring 4 people. That airport is one of the world's busiest, at least in normal times when the planes can take off. Kuwait says that it shot down 8 Iranian drones. And Saudi Arabia says that it intercepted 7 drones headed for an oil field and 6 ballistic missiles that were headed for an air facility that's apparently also used by the US. Now, one key point to make here is that some of America's closest allies here in the Middle East were opposed to this war. They were warned that it would further destabilize the region, and they are now being targeted with Iranian missiles and drones. The other point to make is that Iran is waging a drone war. Drones, of course, are unmanned, remotely controlled weapon systems, and they are transforming warfare. One of the key drones that Iran is using is the Shaheed. It reportedly costs between $20,000 and $50,000 to produce per unit, per drone. Compare that with millions of dollars to produce a ballistic missile. It is the definition of asymmetrical warfare, and Iran claims that they have stockpiles to sustain a 6-month-long high-intensity war.
So, Holly, there's so much activity around the world's oil infrastructure and supply with this war. What are you hearing from people in the region about the pressure specifically on the Strait of Hormuz?
Adriana, it's not really surprising, is it, that a war in the Middle East might disrupt the oil industry and result in some big swings in the price of oil. The war has effectively shut down shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, which carries normally around 1/5 of the world's oil from the oil-rich Gulf states. That's over 20 million barrels a day. The Strait of Hormuz at its narrowest point is only about 20 miles wide, so it's a major choke point. Iran has also targeted oil fields and refineries, which is putting pressure on Israel and the US to end the war. And here in northern Iraq, they've told us that they have completely shut down oil production because of fears of a strike on them and then resulting fires. Today, there are reports of a cargo ship being hit in the Strait of Hormuz, forcing the crew to evacuate. And just in the last few minutes, Iran has claimed that it hit a ship in that area that it claims is Israeli owned. We haven't been able to confirm any of those details. But, you know, if anyone's wondering why they might be seeing higher oil prices, that's why.
All right, Holly, let me ask you about the son of Iran's president says that the new supreme leader is safe and sound despite a war injury or reports of a war injury. What can you tell us about that?
So Iran selected a new supreme leader over the weekend, Mojtaba Khamenei. He's the son of the former supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed in an airstrike in the sort of outset of the war. Now, what's interesting is that the younger Khamenei, the new supreme leader, hasn't really engaged with the public since he succeeded his father, and there are reports that he was wounded. But now we've heard from the son of Iran's president, who says that the supreme leader is, quote, safe and sound. You know, make of that what you will. The Iranian regime is known for many things. Transparency is not one of them.
An important point. Holly Williams, thank you so much. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand, who is standing by at the White House. Natalie, thank you so much for joining us. So a lot of people are thinking about, you know, the U.S. toll in this. We already know 140 American troops have been wounded in this war. What, if anything, are we hearing about potential troops on the ground there?
Yeah, Adriana, Vlad, the administration and the president himself have been asked about this since the start of this operation, and the answer essentially remains the same. While there are no boots on the ground right now, they say that they're not taking any options off the table. But over on Capitol Hill, some Democratic lawmakers, including Senator Richard Blumenthal, have been public in their comments to reporters, saying based on what they've heard in briefings and from administration officials, they're worried, increasingly worried, that the administration may be on a path towards boots on the ground. So the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked specifically about that yesterday during the press briefing. Here's part of her response.
As for boots on the ground, the president has talked about this repeatedly. Wisely, he does not rule options out as commander-in-chief.
Now, President Trump earlier this week told the New York Post that he's, quote, nowhere near ordering U.S. troops into Iran, and he downplayed the reports about potential plans or a mission to retrieve highly enriched uranium from an underground facility. We may have the chance to ask him more questions today when he leaves the White House in a few hours for his trip to Ohio and Kentucky.
All right, so let me ask you what the White House is saying about that number that we just heard from Adriana, at least 140 American troops wounded during this war. What are you hearing?
Yeah, Caroline Leavitt didn't really comment on the number. She said that that's the ballpark, but then she directed us to the Pentagon. And that latest statement from the Pentagon puts the number at approximately 140 service members injured. The majority, though, according to a spokesman, sustained minor injuries and have already been returned to duty. But the same statement said 8 service members are still considered severely injured and are receiving medical care. And in CENTCOM's latest update this morning, they reiterated the message that thoughts are with, the troops in the region and also, the troops, of course, that have been killed in this operation, 7 service members, and, of course, grieving with their families.
We are thinking of all their families. Natalie Brand, thank you so much.